Now, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has said that 134 children will die every day in Nigeria's Borno state if no help is accorded to them. Now, an estimated 250,000 children, according to the UNICEF, in the northeast face severe malnourishment, and the extent of the crisis affecting children is now just starting to become apparent. Here's a report by Ken Karuri.
Almost 250,000 children in parts of Nigeria's Borno state, formerly controlled by Boko Haram, are suffering from severe malnutrition, the UN Children's Agency says. UNICEF warned that tens of thousands will die if treatment does not reach them soon, and said it found people without water, food or sanitation. Last month, charity aid organization Doctors Without Borders said people fleeing Boko Haram had starved to death. Borno state has been one of the hardest hit regions by Boko Haram's 7-year rebellion that has left 20,000 people dead and more than 2 million others displaced in northeast Nigeria. The West African nation's military is currently involved in a large-scale offensive against the Islamist group. UNICEF says that as more areas in northeast Nigeria become accessible to humanitarian help, the extent of the nutrition crisis affecting the children is becoming more apparent.
The Nigerian government has, however, said on several occasions that the group has been weakened. President Muhammadu Buhari had also declared that Boko Haram still remains a threat when it comes to security. The famine situation in the northeast of the country is very crucial. Joining us this morning is Mr. Dun Porter, who is UNICEF's Chief of Communication in Abuja, Nigeria. Mr. Porter, could you please describe the current situation in Borno State?
The children in Borno State are the most vulnerable population, of course, but all of the population in Borno State have been severely affected by the Boko Haram crisis. It was a poor area of Nigeria to start with. Infrastructure was weak, but during the course of the conflict, health centers have been destroyed, water, sanitation facilities have been destroyed. So people who were already poor are facing real deprivation. They have not been able to plant crops because of the conflict. What livestock and food stores that they have had in many cases have been looted, or they've had to abandon their homes and leave their food and livestock behind. So we're looking at a really desperate situation. There are approximately 2 million people that are still living in areas that are completely inaccessible in Borno State.
Well, Mrs. Porter, donors promised to give $55 million to help combat this crisis. Up to now, you've just received $22 million, half the promised amount. Why the delay?
It's not that people have not delivered on their promises, it's that people have not yet come forth. Obviously, there is a lot of competition for resources. There are a lot of problems in the world. This is why we're highlighting this. This is very much a hidden problem. It's one of the biggest displacement problems in the world, but it is so far a very silent and underreported issue. It's worth noting also that as we reach more areas, we are likely to increase the amount of money that we're asking for. So there is a long way to go in terms of donor support.
For how long will you continue helping the population in Borno State if there will be no emergency aid?
It's definitely not enough. We can continue to reach the people we're already reaching. What we really need to do is to expand the number of people we're reaching. Right now, there are about 750 people living in areas that are now accessible. They're safe or relatively safe to reach now, but we can't reach all of them because we don't have the resources.
That was the Chief of Communications, UNICEF in Abuja, Dun Porter.